tinyarcade.com, podcast, YouTube. What the hell is it, Tim? What is it? YouTube. Tim's Tiny Arcade. Boom shakalaka. Johnny, winding down. At the buzzer. Oh my! Sacramento wins the game.
Talk about arch rivals, how that all maybe came about.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, so how did that all come about?
All right, I kind of figured that would be the first question. A lot of the games that I'm known for, I did with a programmer named Jeff Nauman. Rampage, I did with him, and Sarge, and Arch Rival, and usually those were my concept.
Right.
And I had worked on a game very early on where the player was with Sarge. We controlled the guy running from a helicopter to the tank. I don't know if you remember that arcade game, but I always liked the idea of doing something where the player's controlling multiple characters.
Right.
Jeff and I talked about it a lot, and then one day Jeff got back from a trip out of state and threw an airplane barf bag down on the table in front of me and said, "Brian, I've got our game. Basketball. You're controlling two players like you want, and we can do real basketball plays. We can do a pick and roll. We can do it." And I'm like, Jeff, you're 6'2". I'm 5'9". It's like, I don't know. I don't care. That it's real strategy is great for all the basketball players, but people like me, what am I going to do?
Right.
And I said, but if we can foul, I'm in.
You're in.
So that's why Arch Rivals was the first real basketball game. I mean, where you could control your team, even though it was just two players, and you could pass, and you could request a pass, and you could shoot or pass, or tell your teammate to shoot. That was all first in Arch Rivals. And then for me, I can dive and pull the guy's pants to his knees. I can punch him in the face rather than. So fouls became a big part of it, and that's where it came from.
Yeah.
That barf bag on the table.
There was never talk about NBA license or anything for that game.
No, and that was for Bally Midway.
Okay.
We did it for Bally Midway, and while we were doing the game, we were about 3/4 of the way done when we were bought out by our biggest competitor, Williams Electronics.
Right.
Now, Williams Electronics was a different kind of makeup, and they, myself and Jeff Nauman were the only two video game guys they kept. Mm-hmm. And Arch Rivals, I heard at the time it was rumored, and I had it confirmed here a couple of years ago, they bought Bally Midway for X amount of money. The sale of Arch Rivals paid for the buyout. So Bally Midway had just hung on for a couple of more months. Yeah. And then we were approached a few years later. We're now working for the new Williams Bally Midway.
Yeah.
We did Pigskin after Arch Rivals. We wanted to do a football game, and they said, no, we've already got one in the works. So I said, okay, let's call it rugby, and that's where Pigskin came from.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay. Vikings against Huns, I think. Rugby with battle axes and that kind of stuff. And then after that, one of their marketing guys did come to us at one point and said, would we consider doing, we were already our own company by then. We had left on good terms. We were still making games for him. But he could get us the NBA license, and we could do video like Narc was doing.
You're right.
And I'm afraid I'm the guy that said, I don't want to do that.
Right.
I want to make my characters, so we kind of politely said no. And then the license stuff went to another game.
Right. So, the characters in the game, are they anybody you know, or did you just drew different people? I didn't know, because you did some in like Rampage.
Right.
Because you're in the game. Right?
Well, yeah, and she's gone now.
Right.
I was George in the original Rampage.
Right.
My wife was Lizzie, and if she were here, I'd say Lizzie's my favorite character, but really it's George. And then Ralph was Jeff Nauman, the programmer. And then the guys in Arch Rivals were more just about coming up with the goofy names and goofy faces and stuff like that. And then one of the things, since I like writing as well in the storyline, everybody had a description that, the hammer does this and is great at this and every. But players swore up and down that Tyrone was the guy that could make the jump shots, and this guy could make the three-pointers and stuff like that. So it's fun making a world that players pull themselves into.
Yeah.
You know, and our Tribals, I mean, God, our Tribals.
Hey, there's no NBA Jam or any of those other games without our Tribals.
Right. We had, it was a whole new thing, and it was fun coming up with. It was really fun to come in. And of course, part of making games is play testing them, and Nauman would always kick my ass. I mean, Jeff would. But, you know, when I get to smack him in the face, it all evens out. It all evens out.
Right? A lot of fun that way. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
I'm glad you came by.
Yes, I'm glad.
It's been a great show.